The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This is basically like a murder mystery time thing that just keeps looping around. Like such a good read. Very enjoyable. Circe. This is a new take on Greek myth from the perspective of a little-known character within the universe. Speaking of little-known characters, some boys that we haven't seen hide nor hair from in a while. Skimmy and Rusty. Welcome to Kingpins.
Hey.
I'm glad to be here. I feel like, I was on the edge of my seat, sitting in Discord, waiting on standby, like, am I going to come in? And then you guys were just popping off. And as soon as I saw the handstands, the push-ups, I knew that was a very high bar to be set and to really be matched and topped.
Talk to me about the difficulty of casting what amounted to 23 seconds of gameplay.
I was actually joking with Rusty. I was like, I'm not too sure what time we're going to get put back into this game, but if it's literally where we were with the Cosmic Radiance going off and them hitting the Nexus, I'm like, do I just go Motormouth, Rap God, Eminem style and just scream and then, try and get that front page Reddit clip to mirror your handstand? In the end, it seemed kind of that way, but yeah, I think caffeine coffee is going to be the MVP here. Just more energy. We're not going to let that hype simmer down.
You can tell who the roles are here between play-by-plays and colours as well, because Skimmy's coming, he's like, I got 20 seconds, I'm just going to yell loudly. I actually had a screenshot at the end of the game where it was, and be like, what time are we getting back in? How long do we have left? And did the maths before it, so...
Let's take a look back at that game, because we don't want that game to be remembered for the 50-minute fill. We want that game to be remembered for the game that it was, because obviously Order taking out a second win for the night. Juves, you and I spoke about how Direwolves had sort of squandered their early advantage at the beginning. What about the fact that they drafted for a split push and it just seemed like they weren't taking advantage of it?
Yeah, so I think what we saw in this game was actually the bread and butter of both teams. So Direwolves is known as this, play around chippies, get him on a carry type of team, where Vital's happy just 10 CS per minute, and Order is known as this, give me the tank top, give me the, the power farm / ganking jungler. And we really saw a clash of styles, and I think it was weird because we actually saw the Direwolves play the style of Order with the comp of Direwolves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And we saw Direwolves play the early game very well. Like, you saw how dangerous they are when they skirmish around the top side of the map. Like, they completely... what I thought was an unlosable 2v2 for Order. The Direwolves, Chippies, and Mir actually outplayed them, right? And they got the 2 kills onto the Camille. The Camille got the early Ravenous, and I really thought it was game over. I said, well, there's no one that can deal with this Camille. She was level 11 to level 9 Maokai. But for some reason, Order had this mind control of some sorts, where they were able to bring all the members of Direwolves to the Dragon and to the Rift Herald and just force 5v5s.
So the thing is there as well, Juves, is like you can see, and I'm not in the comms with them, right? None of us are, but you can see from Chippies what he is doing, and I think he is overcompensating right now to try and carry his team. And what I mean by that, with literal examples, is look at the game at level 3, walks mid. Level 3, he then teleports bottom to help his team. And this is the player who is compositionally going to be the carry, now sacrificing himself for the team. And they mechanics maxed their way back to being ahead.
Yeah.
But, like, that alone is an indicator to me of how they're trying to play this game out. And so, like, if that's the case, he should be playing Ornn.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I thought, the way he was playing was like he was not playing, a Camille that needed to sit in lane to get his 2 items, right? I think they, like you said, they're fortunate that they mechanics max to get to a stable state or even a lead, which, well played to them, but also like well played to Order. So I explained this to you, Nick, when we were talking. It's Order's comp and the state the game was in. They needed to find a window. They needed to find a window in which they were happy giving a whole minion wave to potentially gain more than a minion wave. And the instance I gave you was when they Kalista ulted mid and caught Lee Sin, which led to a Baron. There was a universe where Lee Sin didn't die, Order got no kills, and they lost 2 waves top lane. So Order really were in a state where they had to force, and they forced at the right time, and they managed to get the reward. But, like, I'm not sold that this game was as clear and cookie cutter as it was, because, maybe in game 3, Direwolves actually play a little bit safer. They respect the roam. They don't get caught. And then what? then maybe Chippies can take over the game.
Is there an argument to be made that Order often take that sort of calculated risk thing, but they're often doing it against teams that can take advantage of them as they're offering that up, and that Direwolves were, it wasn't necessarily, I guess I'm saying, was it a great decision by Order, or is this something that we see Order do a lot and Direwolves just weren't able to take advantage of it?
I think it's a compositional thing in the sense that they like, it's a necessary, like, if you want to call it an evil, like if sacking minion waves is an evil, it's a necessary evil when you play the kind of comp Order did, and specifically when your Maokai is behind, because the Maokai was the one that was behind. So I think it's a calculated risk that's like necessary, but that risk could lose you the game quicker or get you back into the game. And what we saw was it got them back into the game. Yeah, but like I said, you know, the alternative is they go mid, they don't get the kills, and Camille takes 2 towers bot lane.
And we, speaking of getting back into the game, we got word that Direwolves have picked blue side, and they're also keeping Cupcake. Rusty, is that the right decision?
Yeah, I mean, Cupcake was able to work with Vital to get solo kills in bot lane, like as a 2v2 with a Tahm Kench, you know, playing weak side champions. So I think it was pretty clear to me that Cupcake came in today with good form. He was controlling a lot of the map movements, and I think that's really important because, like, the first point that I made in this segment was that Chippies is trying too hard to be the captain and carry his team. And I think what he should be doing is one of two things. And option one is keep Cupcake in, let him be the captain, and stop trying to do too much for your team. Just play your role. And Cupcake can be a leader, right? So I think that's a good idea for them to keep him in for that reason alone. Option two is you bring Vital a decoy back and you play the tanks yourself.
Well, that's what I thought was interesting as well, because they chose blue side. So for me, that means, like, well, are you first picking Ornn? Are you first picking Aphelios? It's so many questions, and I guess the questions we have is, like, we can't answer it until we really load into a game and see, because this is, I guess, for me, it's plagued Direwolves' season at the later half of the split, is, like, they have these fundamental problems where they can't play certain things in every role.
Well, they need to figure out those problems because this is potentially the last game of their split. It is 2-0 to Order. So, Skimmy, what is it that Direwolves can do against Order tonight? What is the golden ticket, the pick that they have in the back of their pocket that they can pull out to really turn this series around?
I think you've got to ask yourself, you know, given that you're going to have first pick priority, you know, put the Ornn aside for a second there. But, you know, you need to find a support, in my opinion. I feel like Cupcake needs to get his support in that first 3 picks. He needs to find something he's comfortable on and really punish Ayla, because he's played Maokai back-to-back, had a free lane, and when it's come to a team fight, it's just had a far bigger impact, a far bigger role, and Order been able to really rely on that. So I just want to see, you know, the justification for Cupcake to be in here, that he can actually play those aggressive tanks, free up the option for Chippies to do what he does best, and for them to try and turn things around.
Absolutely. And then the other thing that we've got going, of course, is NeoSurf, proud sponsors of the OPL playoffs, are offering to give away, not just offering, they are going to be giving away legendary skins, masterwork chests and keys, along with epic skins. All you need to do is predict the total gold earned in Game 3. Head to the OPL Twitter page at OPL and respond to the post there about the Game 3 challenge with your prediction of how much gold will be earned in Game 3 of Order vs. Direwolves for your chance to win. Speaking of winning, let's get into it with the Macca's Champ Select.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.
We enter the Macca's Champion Select here on match point for Order. Currently leading as best of 5, 2-0, and just 1 game away from meeting Chiefs and looking to continue their playoffs run. For Direwolves, they have changed things up. They have gone for blue sides. That is first pick. And the main question that everyone seemed to ask was, with Ornn being so damn strong still in 10.7, would they be forced to ban away this Ornn? And that question's been answered. It is once again.
Yeah, they really are putting themselves into a hole with this forced ban, you would say, more than anything else. Now, Swiper has proven that he can play the Maokai and that there are tanks available. The Camille still looked good into it, it is worth saying. But it does mean that, you know, Order have been doing this draft strategy on blue side that we're seeing less of it now on red. It is different from them. But they were targeting bottom lane pretty aggressively. This time around, they have gone for the set ban on blue side themselves. So it does on red side rather. So it does seem like that's going to be a handshake ban between both of these teams. With the Renekton taken away here from Swiper by Chippies, it does make me wonder what it is they'll be playing in top lane with all these bans.
Auto changed things up a little bit. They've gone for the Kalista ban as opposed to the Aphelios, which has obviously opened that up. They have, however, respected what Hayri was able to achieve on that Azir, and that was pretty disgusting, to be honest. I mean, the guy is getting quadra kills, really limiting what you're able to do. Yes, there's an argument that can be made that they could have ended the game, but regardless, that is the outcome that we saw. Order, however, keep it in terms of comfort. They get in that incredibly strong bot duo. And now we need to see some form of response here from Direwolves. I would love to see a tank pickup here for Cupcake, and that is what we will get. It's going to be the Braum and the Aphelios going into the, I suppose you call it the feeding lane. You know, pass the parcel, give the tree the package.
It's just it's a needed thing, and I'm glad they've done this time around. So they've prioritized their support as their third pick before the second ban phase, so he doesn't get banned out completely. They have gone for a decent comp now. They open up the floor for Mir to play something like the Sejuani, have a Sej Braum composition as well if Chippies is going to be top Olaf, and then you could pick your Corki in mid lane, and the composition feels a little bit more well-rounded. Order on the other side here have gone for, I want to say it's no surprise, they're giving over low mobility AD carries to Vital, they're picking Trundle, and they're picking Senna Maokai as a trio. Those three together are incredibly good at locking people down over decent distances and round out a composition for them nicely. It's about where they go from here, because the first game was the LeBlanc in mid lane. That's not going to be seen. The Azir is already taken away from Hayri. And Direwolves in this position went for like a Jarvan Orianna last time. And so we'll see the adaptations coming now.
This is interesting for me, the fact that they've banned away the Zillion. We've seen Shock play it once when he went up against a Karma. That's when they took on the Chiefs. That was a while ago. And obviously the idea behind that, plenty of denial. You stack members up. You've got obviously the ability to stun them. Then you've got the turbo speed influence to allow somebody like Chippies or Mir to run into that backline. But then that free revive, the ability to have a second chance if you know that everybody's going to be diving on towards Vital, allowing him to itemize a lot more aggressively as opposed to what we've seen when he got like the likes of the QSS, Executioners, and really had to sort of build very much hybrid style, limiting his influence. And we've talked about how strong Vital is as a player. Now, the Sejuani wasn't banned away. Two were taken on towards what Shock can achieve. The Casio is still online, however, as Order have now locked in place a Corki for Hayri.
The Cass is the big one, and I think it was a soft bait actually here from Order once again. It seems like, you know, we spoke about this a few times now already, but we know what Direwolves are playing. We know what champions they play. Order have very consciously chosen to take away the Corki, give over the Cassiopeia. You can see it through their bans because the other options are there. Here is one spanner into the works though, as we have seen this in other regions. LEC played the press the attack Malphite.
Yes.
And that may be what we're starting to see here in this game. Now, you would expect it's going to be the Maokai top lane, but what we have seen from Order is Maokai support. So the choice is theirs, and to the lane they wanted to put it in, and there we go.
There you go, they flex it up quite nicely, showing that they can do it with the Maokai or do it with the Tahm Kench as well. They've definitely thrown a spanner in the works, but the big talking point has to be the Malphite. Chippy's playing that one there. You talked about it before, already being deployed in the LEC, and we had a bit of a laugh about how damn scary it can be. When he comes through, it just makes playing ADC near nigh impossible unless you have flash available.
Yeah, it's a hard life to be an ADC in the compositions that we were seeing in the LEC. It's a little bit different here.
Yeah.
You know, rule number one is there's low mobility on both of these AD carry champions. So it isn't the simplest game to play, but it's an Olaf and a Cassiopeia that are going to be running you down. And so it's not as dangerous. You know, there's less mobility, there's less assassination there. It is mostly the Malphite that will be the engaged tool. Similar thing for the other side of the map as well, right? So a bit more range, a bit more damage consistently overall, less frontline brawler tankiness. Yet to see the build, of course, that the Malphite will be going as well. But it'll be an interesting game to really watch it unfold. You know, how does the center Tahm Kench go against the enemy team as they go for this starving bottom lane as well? But their opposing side has the Braum this time. It's not the Tahm Kench. A bit more kill threat available. And the Aphelios, not the Misfortune, who a lot of people argue is stronger of the two.
I mean, first few questions in mind here, Rusty, would be Cupcake gets a preferable champion, allowing him to protect Vital, which is apparent as a necessity in this series. But then, based off the performance that Chippy had on that Camille last game, yes, it was a carry, and I suppose it could be made that Malphite is also a carry based on what we've seen. Whether or not he is going to be incredibly aggressive once again with his rotations to try and overcompensate and get his team online.
Yeah, for me, the one place that I'm looking at more than anything else, like the Malphite's obvious, right? It's a place that we'll be watching as the game plays, but through this draft, I'm looking at the Cassiopeia and the Ola. Those two in particular. Now, any time that Direwolves have beaten Order in a game of League of Legends, those two have been doing well. It's usually a big performance from both individual members of Mir and Shock. Shock has been not the highest impact player in this series so far, at least not to the standard that we know he can be. And I think they have his measure through draft. And that's one of the big things to consider. But his Cassiopeia, he's into the Corki. Corki may be forced into a Hex Drinker, which really ruins spike timing for a Corki. If he can get that done at the very least, Shock can have a big impact on the game.
Well, when it comes to a situation like this where you are being threatened by a match point, Shock defaults to Comfort. This is a man that's played this champion thousands upon thousands of time. We need a big influence on a Comfort pick for him as we enter into game number 3 of this best of 5. Order sitting on match point. Direwolves getting a little bit creative here.
This is spicy. So they're going to be spin.
This is a face check.
It's a 3v3.
Cupcake can spot a bother already. Guardian gets procced very early on. Mir leading the line right now. There is a Hayri on the flank, on the angle, on the side, but it's not going to matter. First blood being achieved here by Rare. Only disengages as well. Shock's going to come across and look to lay down the poison, burn some flashes, which he does, and Harry rocks up to the party and says, hello, thank you very much.
Shock
burn double summoners. And this is the most chaotic level 1 we have seen in this series so far.
No.
Desperation. Order 2-0 in this series, now find themselves 2-0 in this game, Rusty.
Oh, that's an absolute disaster for Direwolves. They have the late invade. They have the Olaf. But Order, no. They suspect that this is going to happen. They sit in the bush, they wait. And the second that Direwolves split up, Cupcake shows himself. Bam, they collapse on that. And they get themselves the 2-0. They also force a recall from Vital. And they... Oh, I mean, you couldn't ask for more if you were Order.
You really couldn't. The fasting center has essentially broken her diet and has had far too many cheat meals. Now sitting at 2-0, comes back with double longswords and a rejuve potion. If you talk about sustain and frustration in that lane already, that is only just hyper-accelerated the agenda further. And now you find a situation where your carries, they have no summoners to respond.
So we watch this again from Direwolves' point of view here. Cupcake is the one who walks down, cops the tongue to the face. It is a Doran's ring. Tahm Kench as well, just as a random aside to that. Now, just before Only gets stunned, he uses his chomp and takes some damage away from Mir. They both get the smite off onto the blue buff, but with 0 HP left to his name, Only flashes away after getting the Triumph proc there as well. And that's the thing, you know, they're fighting in Order's side of the map. They have control of the terrain, and they're using that terrain control to their advantage. They just barely scrape out with their lives in so many situations. It was close to going the other way, but I think the advantage of Order going first, choosing the fight, was the difference.
Punishment is absolutely real at this stage of the game. You can see that Rare is making it very well apparent. Always looking for that poke. Be quite interesting, I feel like, Rusty, to keep an eye on how he is able to utilize that to get those absolution stacks up and rolling, up online very quickly into this game. You can already see that the pressure is definitely towards this bottom side. Only one flash available for Cupcake. Only is already invading here.
Yeah, they're looking to pressure him for this Krug, but if he has the smite, he doesn't. He'll be okay. Lots of damage. Once again, they're making this a nightmare for Direwolves.
Look at it. The damage, it's all free. They have the sustain. That is the major advantage they have in this lane compared to what Direwolves offered. Put you in such a rough situation where you're just going to be forced back to your tower and lose a lot of CS as a result, you'd imagine.
Yeah, contesting that bush actually cost them a lot of HP as well, so they are now no longer in a good position, even an even position in this lane, and their wave is pushing towards Order, so it goes from bad to worse if they don't start getting some control soon. Direwolves very much struggling through this bot lane 2v2. Top lane at least is isolated and has been since the start of the game. And you can see a sizable CS advantage for Chippies before that first back. So at least there's that going for them.
They need a glimmer of hope at this stage of the game. You hate to call it at 5 minutes in, but if your mental was boomed before with that long break, definitely not a situation you want to find yourself in.
He was 100% spotted. He walked through a ward. He's going to walk through a second one. Only is here. So if he chooses to make a play at all, even walk up to this bush.
Oh no, don't do it, Mir. Only's going to turn around. The pillar goes down. The damage is there to follow. Order in a far better spot to respond here. Mir's forced to burn that flash. The root was only seconds away. And this bot lane and jungle are just being completely bullied out of this early game.
Yeah, now they're going to be forced to recall. You can see the health bar is just sorely lacking from the side of Direwolves. No mana for Cupcake there as well. Mir flashing away. I mean, it's going from bad to worse, and it's happening quickly. They just ought to have their read on the game. They have the read on their opponents, and it's so clear to me that the preparation and planning that came into this one has really just been the ace up the sleeve that Order had from game one.
They're going to be the ones again in this driving seat, not only dominating the Scuttle Crabs, but also by getting the Dragons online to start this game off with. Mountain Drake to their name, extra tankiness, that will definitely come in clutch, given that has been the narrative for Order in this series. Build tanky, build for sustain, build for the ability to engage, and not get as punished.
Yeah, definitely one of the key factors they can start looking towards. Now, it's worth pointing out here, just as a tangent as well, the Doran's ring start is not something that you often see for Tahm Kench players. But in this situation, what does a Doran's ring provide you? If you think you're going to cop it while you're laning, you could have a shield, but you might run out of mana trying to last hit with Q. So one of the advantages that it does provide is 2 potions to equalize a lot of the early harass that could come out from a Braum Aphelios, which the shield does not fully cover in such a short span of time, and the mana sustain to be able to continue to last hit minions with Q. Now, of course, you didn't get to see any of that, so it feels like it's pointless. But that's just because they're winning so hard so early.
Throwing out the old ideas cooked up there in the workshop. Learning with Rusty, that's our new segment here on the OPL. As we see once again, the bullying continues. The sustain, the damage, the item advantage. Really allowing Rare to be a complete nuisance here and really own that role of just being a harasser, especially during laning phase.
Yeah, being able to start with 2 longswords, let alone rushing the lethality that he currently has, Rare is just in the nicest position to play center ever. He's just going to get those stacks so lightning quick, and the more stacks he gets, the faster he scales and the worse it looks for Direwolves. Now, they still have things to kill him. As you can see, one of them was hovering around mid lane having a look. Fighting bottom, actually.
They are indeed. Mir once again showing some love there, but that is going to force out a teleport response from Swiper. Now the same comes out from Chippies as well, but with Maokai being the one to reach that situation first, out comes the Rockman! And that's a double kill picked up just like that, and Vital finds that all-important shutdown.
Yeah, super important kills there, and like you mentioned, going to the correct person. Vital gets them, Chippies comes in, proves why the Malphite is a valuable pick there as well. Flash ultimate. Now they will lose the Rift Herald for this. Swiper also able to hold this and gets a flash out of Cupcake. If he lives, then he's actually stopped a lot of this threat. That's a teleport in from Ayla.
Ayla lands the leg.
As well.
They're going to punish. It looks so damn good for Direwolves, but they overextend. They stay around for far too long. He's just going to fall as well.
Yeah, so they'll actually get the Herald. They'll steal the blue buff. They'll get a kill and defend the bot lane turret now. They do still die 2 times, but the response is so quick and so confident from Order that you can see them bringing it back immediately. And any advantages Direwolves thought they had slowly dissipate.
Let's see what he comes back to this lane with. He is going to have now a BF sword. So going to have a major trading advantage as a result, but it looks so good in those situations prior to it. But the teleport advantage coming in clutch here. Triple TP is what Order have to play around with in this game. Chippies with the Malphite presence. Definitely seeing the value in that pick and really what his game plan is.
Yeah, so that was a lot of good work from Chippies. But it's similar to like when AV have Chaz playing as their mid laner. It's like an equalizer, you know? More than anything else. That's what it felt like he was able to do there. Malphite, one of those unique, happy middle grounds for Chippies as well, where he can roam, he can lane. And it's nice to see them bring out what I guess was the pocket pick through being on blue side. And we'll see just how much it can do coming into the mid-game, though, because the next time that ultimate is available, it's worth highlighting that no one flashed the last Malphite ultimate, where perhaps they could have. So they'll still have it to dodge the next one.
All have been about action here, but mid lane has been the most quiet so far. Both are neck and neck in terms of CS, and kind of as you'd imagine, really, with both going for the tier build, looking to get themselves online with that upgrade, and then start working into that second item before they really showcase what they are all about. But
exactly right.
Two very comfortable players on these respective champions, and you know, whoever can reach that power spike first may just have the edge to influence these side lanes.
Yeah, definitely item-based champions as well. The Sheen being a little bit cheaper than the Lost Chapter means their spike timings came in slightly different, but at the end of the day, it'll be one full item done cheaper from Shock, and may be able to get himself onto the map a little bit faster than that of Hayri, who has delayed his Manamune. Looking bottom. Only is here, though.
Both junglers, again, are just hanging around this bottom side, and it would definitely favor Order as they have the Rift Herald in their pocket. If they were able to get a kill, they will be able to get themselves a fair few plates. Potentially look at getting the first turret of this game to start achieving a gold lead, which, as it stands right now, Rusty, is up roughly 800 gold.
Yeah, not game-breaking gold leads just yet. Now Order are looking towards this Infernal Drake. That was a stopwatch from Rare. Oops-a-daisies. Might have wanted that for the coming fight. That was a massive misclick, to say the least. They're going to concede the Drake here in response. Numbers advantage there, but Cupcake might be in trouble.
He may be in trouble. Dashes away and then jumps back in, landing the concussive blows. Out goes the ultimate. Center Cannon providing some sustain. Bit of mitigation, but it's not going to matter because Mir runs rampant. Popping that Ragnarok, finds himself a double kill. Now that makes Olaf once again a threat in this game. And they're able to turn things around, stem the bleeding.
So, first of all, it's nice to see Mir playing towards his bot lane at the moment. They are not playing towards Chippies at all. Chippies is playing towards them. We saw some of that adaptation in the last game with him playing towards his team, but this time very successfully, it seems. And Rare was not to be seen. He was in the river. He actually flashes away from Cassiopeia, who has that one-item spike we were talking about before. The Aphelios and the Braum have kill threat decently of their own as a 2v2. And the Olaf just comes in, throws the axes, and really has a genuine impact in this lane. And they've now put themselves 4-3 on the kills. The gold pretty much even, and that was after. Remember the level 1 that we saw.
Actually incredible mental resilience here to hang on out. The Rift Herald, however, will not find any value as it is summoned at the very last second there. Harry was showing his face in the bottom lane by using that teleport and responds back in mid as Shock was looking to get some free damage on towards that turret, but it is a fantastic recovery attempt here from Direwolves. And I mean, you can almost understand what the game plan is. Every single time Chippies has the unstoppable force looking to lay down the law and show what they can do, but trying to reach those item spikes to make sure that Vital is able to get himself online. He getting much closer to that point of the game as he's now got the Essence Reaver completed here, Rusty.
Yeah, that recovery, though, Skimmy, has put them into a very good spot because you have to look at the advantage between these junglers. Miro was able to pick up the kills. He has the CS advantage. He's the one with the shutdown. And how have Dials been beaten by Order the past couple of games? Is a lot of it's around Only and his ability to move around the map and not just secure the objectives, but threaten for those kills. And we're not really seeing as much of that this game. In fact, what we have seen of him is counter ganks more than anything else.
He's opted to go for the Cinder Hulk and now working his way towards that Spirit Visage. Wants to be as tanky as possible, really rely on that passive to keep himself self-sustained and go for those brawls. I'm sure he wins those ones out. We are going to see the rotation now as the top laners now switch with their respective counterparts, flip the map if you will. No objective on the map for another couple of minutes.
Swiper seems to be doing well for himself, working towards what I have to assume is the Spirit Visage first. Both players just going for the Balmy Cinder in there early. Chippies with the Catalyst of the Aeons in his build, though, however, probably going towards an Abyssal Mask. Maybe Rod of Ages, but I highly doubt it, given all the other components he purchased first. And Mir threatening a top dive.
Tanks still scaling, looking for those two crucial item spikes, but the jungler's definitely been very active in this regard, and this time with Mir rotating and roaming, He's not getting anywhere near as punished as he has in the first 2 games. With a healthy advantage in that CS department, he's able to, dictate what the terms that are set on this game, but he can do so with confidence. This time starting a Rift Herald with the advantage, with those lanes pushing, with the vision on the map, and the ability to guarantee it without making it a 50-50 risky shot call.
Yeah, another free objective, this time going to the Direwolves, however, after they got that Drake as well. 1 minute, 20 seconds till the next Drake spawns. It's a Cloud Rift. So not the most exciting of rifts once again to be seen. Item spikes getting closer in mid lane, however, here, Skimmy. The Trinity Force ever closer for Hayri. Very efficient being able to go for the magical footwear to not have to purchase that and save some money. Whereas Shock on the other side, like mentioned, was the 1 item spike wonder. So you can see Direwolves being able to play not only around their Olaf strength, but the item spike hitting very early from Shock to start getting some control back.
That begs the question if we're going to see now a full-blown 5v5 as a result of Shock having that impact. You can understand that Order are sniffing. They are hunting out trouble, invading, denying as much as they can, and looking to find any small advantage to even out that item spike. It's going to be Hayri now finding himself a red buff, which will really add to this damage that is not found as a result of having the Trinity Force complete.
Yeah, and only just playing Protector and hovering. It's going to be doubles for the Corki. We're only just falling a little bit further and behind every passing moment to this Olaf. It's a Spirit Visage Rush here, however, from Mir. Not a Black Cleaver, not even the Phage. So he's gone the tank route. And at the moment, the only real physical damage, especially with only being a little bit behind, still fine, still fighting fit, but behind, is going to be Rare. And being the center, going for the lethality build, definitely scaling up. A Spirit Visage first item is a very powerful and tanky Olaf.
That's definitely his objective here, is to stay a while and get the job done. Be a threat, even though you don't traditionally think of Olaf as a tank compared to the likes of a Malphite or, say, a Maokai, but he wants to be always available. We saw so many times when he fell victim to a gank and then wasn't able to be there using a smite for a big objective like a Baron or a Dragon, or potential situation like this. Unstoppable falls onto Free, buying time for the TP to come on out. Shock wants to exert that pressure he has with that item spike, and this is a big win actually for Direwolves. They stem the top aggression and they pick up the second Drake for themselves.
Yeah, and Herald having to be dealt with in mid lane here by Hayri, so he's not able to rotate and assist in that top lane dive that they were considering as well. I mean, at the end of the day, no one dies top lane. There was a lot of pressure. Direwolves still finding the objective, still finding themselves at least building up a decent amount of momentum in this one as well. You have to commend the efforts of them so far. It's can they actually capitalize this into a gold lead, though? They haven't been able to so far.
It's definitely been very close this series all along. Now Order show themselves in the top lane for a second time, looking to get a major shutdown, which they will find. 4 members collapse. No protection able to be offered from Chippies, with the ultimate down, a core component of what this Malphite offers to the team. Mir in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I want to say the notorious Mir does it again. Being in top lane, Chippies doesn't have ult. He has the flash, he has the teleport, he's definitely weak-sided, however, and then they play towards that weak side and give the opportunity for a kill to go over with the turret. If you look at the rest of the map at the moment that play happens, their bottom lane is pushing away past the bot lane outer turret. They are so far away from this action that it's very clear that there is a weak side of the map that Order are trading with. And so to give a 600 gold shutdown, it feels unnecessary.
Just granted your opposition a nice little window to get themselves back into this game. And we do see now the recall complete with the item spikes coming online for Order specifically. We've got the Umbral Glaive for the vision denial, couple that with the Executioners to make it very easy for Rare to deny a lot of the sustain that will be coming out in these team fights, but the major one obviously has to be the Trinity Force. Now completed with the Muramana also reaching that 750 bonus mana spike of the game. Harry is going to be kind of scary now.
Yeah, most definitely. It's going to be a big deal. Going to be doing some serious damage. Of course, Corki wants to hit 16, wants to hit 3 items, and with this build, 4 items is an even bigger power spike, as the Manamune, now Muramana, gives as much AD as an Infinity Edge, if not more, depending on the rest of your build. And a Presence of Mind or something of the like, once you get involved in those kills, it can actually increase your damage output. Yet to see that really happen, though, as he is 0-0-1, but has a 300 gold shot down from farming alone. 350.
It keeps on scaling. As do these team compositions, every teleport available now, except for Shocks having been deployed moments earlier in the top lane to prevent Chippies falling on down. Interesting to see how these teams decide to set themselves up accordingly to utilize that, to play the macro game. It, for the most part, had been Order running around the map, forcing Direwolves to play their game plan.
Yeah, right now we're fighting for mid priority more than anything else. You can see the Direwolves are hovering the top side of mid where they have their vision control. Swiper's about to push the wave in though and have some freedom to leave if he would like. And that's where Order may try and fight back, get some control if they can.
Yeah, Shock was hovering, wanted to try and make something happen given the fact that Harry was all the way locked down in bottom lane. Be that numbers advantage for them to make a trade happen.
Oh, it's the teleport advantage as well, Skimmy, right? So Harry has teleport, Shock does not. And so they're able to play like this as long as they're not all-inning. They found mid.
Like an all-in is going to take place right now. Here is low, forced to disengage as the Ragnarok expires. A trade of ultimates comes out. Chippy's going on in onto 2, but just no follow-up can come across. Cupcake is locked in place, and now Direwolves in a situation where what is happening? Shock cannot get there. It was a 4v5 as it started, and now all of our resources to turn this fight around have been lost. Order stay strong. They get the all-important kill, and they establish themselves strong in the mid lane.
Yeah, and the Cassiopeia just wasn't there. You know, big numbers advantage for them having the teleport advantage. That's why they're able to commit themselves to that. Swiper just walks down, as Swiper does very often, honestly, when playing competitive League of Legends. So they get themselves a pick. It's a lot of good work onto a Malphite who still has his flash, still has the teleport, so can be back onto the map very quickly. But he ulted in to look for kills and was unable to find what he was after.
30 seconds on this next Drake. Direwolves would love to pick this up. Would find so much value on the likes of Shock and Mir, especially, to get that uptime to get onto the carries, get onto those kill targets especially, get their role in this game online. After that last team fight, it's rough.
Like, I look at these comps, I have to say, first of all, I think this is the best draft that Direwolves have had this series so far, so I'm a fan of it. And if I was Rare, like, this is the type of composition that's designed to just murder him constantly off cooldown. Like, if Aphelios ults with Malphite, probably just between those two, they have enough damage. We're fighting again.
We are indeed. The pillar goes up, the zone is complete, the entrance into Direwolf's jungle is where they will be locked in place for the meantime. They've got the sustain once again, but Chippies has had enough. He jumps in and he gets members online. 2 kills picked up instantly, shutdowns for the boys in green. They burn summoners, but they find so much value, and they need to do something with this tempo. They go straight to Baron.
Yeah, they have to capitalize on that with something. They'll be spotted doing this, of course. They've been seen running up to it. Order are going to sack the Baron buff. They're going to go get the Drake. Very well deserved here by Direwolves as far as the teamfight execution is concerned. It was a flash forwards from a Cassiopeia and a Malphite with their ultimates at the same time. They will not have the flash or any forthcoming fights, which might be the saving grace here for Order. But that's the team fight coming forward, doing the work that is needed of it to be able to keep Direwolves in this series and win the game.
They turn their enemies to stone. Combination of 2 elements, really, between what Shock and Chippies can do there, but definitely delivering what their composition is built to achieve. As you say, Baron traded for Dragon. Order having to go for that one here, but now the question, Rusty, has to be how much pressure can Direwolves find in these 3 lanes, utilizing that Baron-inspired minion wave to really try and not only get a gold lead, because they're already up by, say, 2k, but to further accentuate that, really get those items online, 2 to 3 item spikes, and then be able to just keep, just dominating these team fights, because you're getting close to that point now where Corki hits level 16, you start to get concerned.
So think back to the last couple of games, right? It always felt like Direwolves were reacting to Order's plays, or Order were making mistakes, which was opening the door to Direwolves, right? This is the one time where it's really clear to say that Direwolves are making their own plays. And Direwolves are controlling the tempo of the game. And this is the closest we have seen to Direwolves at their peak best. And that is such a significant difference in this best of 5 series when you really see that happen. But Order, just to hold on to this game, will require to put in some big work of their own, because it's rare against people that will all one-hit him, and he is the bulk of the physical damage, so he has to stay alive.
But look at the amount of damage that goes out onto a tank. Devour coming in clutch. Moonlight Vigil going out from afar. Another big BF sword item there completed for Vital, and that may be a dead Trundle, but this nets them a solid advantage in the mid lane. 2 turrets will fall on down. Side lanes had to be responded to, and, you know, Direwolf seized the moment.
Yeah, they're able to break a couple of extra turrets, get some extra gold into their pockets. They make it to about a 3.5 thousand gold lead for themselves, and on the disengage here, there may not be too much else they'll be able to get from this Baron buff, but that's still a very good momentum swing in their favor. If you're looking at lanes they want to attack next, Drake's their first objective by a few seconds, but I don't think that matters too much. What they do have is teleport advantage for a small amount of time to maybe set themselves up in a 1-3-1 and just get some map control. You know, start looking for picks with that map control with the Malphite ultimate.
Well, the items are starting to come online thick and fast. Void Staff completed for Shock here. Going to find so much value, especially against all the magic resists that Order are itemizing towards. The flip side of that is Hayri is now reaching that major power spike too. He's got the rapid fire cannon online. He's got the range advantage to complement his poke with those missiles. And when we see that next full blown out team fight, which I would imagine is going to be at this next Drake, going to really understand, you know, the true nature of how these carries influence now starts to scale on into this game.
It's not sole point for either team though, so the pressure to get to a Cloud Drake is, like, I want to say it's not too significant, but there is a Malphite on one team, and you don't want to give that guy ult CDR constantly. That would be very annoying for a Malphite to just always have his ultimate and stare you down. So I think that there might be some pressure to try and take those Drakes if you Order.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what? You've got 10% CDR already into his kit, add another 20, potentially 30 on that ult specifically. I feel like your window to execute in which you can force a fight or just desperation flank and find a pick like they have in games 1 and 2 is near nigh impossible.
Now we have 3 items for Hayri as well, so as far as significance on the map, he's going to be huge. He's 16, he's close to his full power, but opted towards the rapid fire cannon over the Infinity Edge or any other resistance items perhaps that were available. A bit of extra range is very handy against the opposing composition. It might make it harder for someone like Chippies to close the distance or for Shock to hit an ultimate. He's probably the one that you look at the most. You know, there is a lot of magic resistance to deal with him, so avoid stuff definitely on the menu for him at some stage to really stay relevant in this one. But if he gets the damage done, you know, his base damage is so high that he could probably carry this game.
And it begs the question, right? Going to have to keep our eyes firmly fixated on Hayri's positioning, because from when we've seen these Malphite ults go in, they're finding a lot of value onto at least 2 targets minimum. If Hayri is locked in place, then the itemization he's gone towards definitely feels like a lackluster option, unable to really execute with what it presents.
And he didn't go for the Hex Drinker, Skimmy. You know, he didn't go for the defensive option, so he can still get smacked around in one hit if he finds himself in a compromised position.
Just wants to do the damage. The question is, can they now, Rusty? 5 seconds on this Dragon. Mid lane priority is what they are looking to both establish. Ragnarok nullifying what the Maokai can achieve. Out comes the center ult very early on to give themselves some mitigation. Disengage is there. Order are still much healthier. But Cupcake and Mir are so zoned away. They are so damn low. Ned is going to look to trade this across to Order.
Yeah, so they're going to concede the Drake. Like mentioned, it's not going to be a soul point Drake, so they're not too concerned. They're actually going to run it down mid lane. Now, note that Direwolves have waited for their flashes to be available. They have flash, they have ultimate, they have the Cassiopeia Maokai and Aphelios combo all ready to go. They just need to execute and find the mark. And this is where they start to look, because if they win here, they actually win the whole game.
They do indeed. They force Order's hand, saying you went for the Dragon. We're going to look to break open this base. We want to pick an inhibitor. Shock opens up with the Miasma. Forced to flash away as a result. Chippies has that combo right. He's ready to use it. He's looking for it. He goes straight onto Rare again, who gets devoured instantly. Moonlight Vigil, AoE splashing from afar. Swiper survives for as long as possible, but it does not matter. It's a 4v5. And the mid inhibitor will fall on down.
They'll break it. It was a little bit hard, but they are still able to get the objective they're after. Plenty of health to their names as well, but maybe not enough to run straight to a Baron. That much is for certain. The flash was used by Shock and by Mir, but not Chippies. who still has that one up. And just watch that ult timer on the top left of your screen, because that's always going to be the most important part of this game. Red didn't flash the ultimate, but they were very much aware of the fact that it was going to happen.
They just shred that Baron far too quick. How do Order respond with this one? Do they look to force the fight? They are buying their time. Hayri is on the approach.
I mean, they can't. Once again, like, what is it that Order are waiting for? The answer is 100% the Void stuff. If they don't have that Void stuff on Hayri, they cannot win a team fight.
Randomization towards being beefy for the resistances. Becoming a major, major factor right now. Black Cleaver completed here by Mir. The tank shredder. And really allow Vital, when those Moonlight Vigils come in from afar, if he has the sniper completed as well, to definitely get the job complete at the tail end of a team fight. Now with that third item in line, has the QSS and the Infinity Edge. These are those major spikes that Aphelios loves to see. And if, you know, we have those Dream Weapon Master combinations online, becomes incredibly tough for not only Order to poke, but then to respect the Malphite engage too.
Yeah, most definitely. This driver's seat position the Direwolves are in, it's very hard to relinquish that strength. Mir just being a pain in the bum. He's going to stand there with the Baron buff on minions just to let him know that he's nearby. They're going to be able to break this top lane in the turret with no troubles at all. Their eyes should be set firmly on inhibitors now that they have that Baron in their pockets. Now that the Direwolves, while they are looking good, you have to note that Hayri's got that Void stuff on the other side, has got the Corki package as well. So if ever there was a moment for them to put up a defense and buy some time from this Baron, it's now.
Here is escorting minions through mid, trying to force them on towards those Nexus turrets. Direwolves are threatening in the top side here, wanting to use that Baron buff to great effect. They open up with a Glacial Fissure, and Swiper is deleted. He's gone. And as soon as it only walks in, he gets turned to stone. He stares into the abyss of damage, and these are the moments you live for as Vital. He just flashes aggressively into the back line, wanting to pick up those kills single-handedly. The item spike is there, the damage is online. A second inhibitor will fall on down, and with the respawn time as being as long as this, they are looking to go for the end. Direwolves are going to bring us into a game number 4. They're going to go for the Nexus and end this one, tying up this best-of-5 series 2-1.
Direwolves with clearly a much better draft this time around. They come into the third game prepared, even 0-2 down. You know, they've got their wildcard champions available. Chippies pulls out the Malphite. It feels like the perfect pick for him as well. He's able to play with the rest of his team brilliantly. And being that team player, playing towards Vital, proves to be a successful strategy for them as they hit their team fight stride and they show that they do still have what it takes to compete with Order.
And how amazing is it really on the back end of that level 1 engage, the fact that they lost it, fed all those kills to the bottom lane and allowed them to find such a major advantage, not only in presence, pressure, and just overall damage, forcing out very undesirable recalls to then come back to the lane at such a CS deficit, but still be able to turn the fight around. The fact that it's now a 2-1, it's that potential first step in a run, as we like to say here in the OPL.
Yeah, with teams like Mammoth, this is a best-of-5 skivvy, but they are able to prove that they can keep themselves in it, and a lot of the Order preparation and planning isn't going to still exist as successfully the further the series goes. It's about that innovation and what those next steps are in draft.
Well, we have got a series on our hand. It's a best-of-5, 2-1, still led here by Order. We're going to throw it a quick break, and when we return, it's game number 4.